Hello, my name is Alice Goodlow, the CEO and founder of Vinelanders Community Trust Incorporated. We're located in Kansas City, Missouri. We are the first self-build community land trust in the nation. Also, there is a self-build group that's forming in West New York, and it's called Vinelanders WNY Incorporated. You can visit their website at vinelanderswny.org. Vinelanders Community Land Trust mission statement is to stop generational poverty in its tracks by implementing a non-traditional approach to housing and by incorporating the self-build philosophy from Europe. This program will provide affordable home ownership to people who cannot presently afford today's rising cost of housing. Housing is a right, not an entitlement. Vinelanders Community Land Trust is a membership-based organization recognized as a 501c3, incorporated in 2010, general members and leasehold members, community residents, other neighborhood groups. Vinelanders CLT objective: preserve affordable home ownership for future residents, promote homeownership for low-income households, veterans, disabled, and immigrants, protect housing security for the disadvantaged population, provide safety net for local residents. What are community land trusts? Community land trusts are nonprofit organizations that provide homeownership for undeserved families by acquiring land and retaining title to it, selling improvement only, subject to 99-year renewable ground lease at deeply subsidized prices, guaranteeing long-term affordability of the homes through resale and income restrictions, allowing the community to control use, disposition, and affordability of buildings located on CLT-owned land. The National CLT Network. Today, there are over 249 community land trusts in the United States, and Vinelanders is in the program directory. You can visit them at www.cltnetwork.org, and also there's a link on our website. The first community land trust started in 1961, the Albany movement. The first civil rights era mass movement began to protest the unequal treatment of African Americans all across the United States, and particularly in the rural southern states. Slater King, the owner of a local real estate and insurance brokerage firm, and his brother, a local Albany lawyer, C.B. King, cousins of the famous Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., are the founders of the Albany movement. During 1 year, over 1,000 protesters are jailed in Albany, including Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph David Abernathy, Charles Sherrod, who is a young college student organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the SNCC, attracting young supporters to the civil rights movement. Slater King's wife, Marion, she was pregnant at the time, was violently attacked by police for bringing food and supplies to jail protesters. She lost their child as a result. In 1963, Slater King and Bob Swan met by accident. Swan, a civil rights supporter, comes to Albany to help organize legal aid for his jail friends and meets lawyer C.B. King many years before Bob's wife Marjorie Swan met and became the lifelong friend of Coretta Scott, who later married MLK Jr. In 1965, in Albany, 17-year-old Shirley Miller's her father, Jose Miller, a deacon at the local Baptist church, was shot to death by a war former, reportedly over dispute about livestock. No charges were returned against the shooter by an all-white grand jury. This was a turning point in her life, and she decided to stay in the South to bring about change. She eventually attends college, joins SNCC, eventually meeting and marrying her husband, Charles Sherrod. In 1968, Slater King and Fay Bennett, who is the head of the National Sharecroppers Fund, seized the idea of buying land for a leased land agriculture cooperative for black farmers. Fay Bennett funds the trip by 8 people, including Slater King, Bob Swan, and Charles Sherrod, who traveled to Israel for a month to study the Kabaz and other ground leasing concepts used there. In July, a meeting of many civil rights leaders is held in Atlanta to explore a new solution to the issue of African American land ownership, resulting in the formation of a planning committee to start a new organization and achieve land ownership for rural black farmers. 1969, C.B. King drafts bylaws for the first community land trust called New Communities Incorporated, which are approved by the planning committee, and they executed an option to purchase over 5,700 acres 30 miles north of Albany, Georgia. Slater King is killed in an auto accident 1 month later, but Charles Sherrod assumes the role of president and carries on. 1970, in January, New Communities completes the purchase of land, borrowing most of the over $1 million cost. 1980s, facing a prolonged drought, crushing debt, persistent racial attacks, and lending discrimination, New Communities is forced to sell 1,300 acres of its land. According to the findings of the federal arbitrators in 2009, unlike similar requests from the area farmers that were white, New Communities' application for emergency loan from the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, for an irrigation system was denied with no clear explanation. In 1982, the drought continued and the operation sold lumber for $50,000 to remain viable. The USDA demanded its receipts of these funds as a condition for a new loan to New Communities. In 1983, the USDA requested and received the deed to a portion of the New Communities' land holdings and provided nothing in return. 5 years later, New Communities is forced to sell the remainder of its property. A federal class action lawsuit is filed to contest the discriminatory practices faced by New Communities and other black farmers from across the rural South, with Shirley Sherrod leading the efforts as a career-long advocate for rural farmers. 2009, New Communities received a settlement of nearly $13 million out of nearly $1 billion paid to more than 13,000 black farmers. Charles Sherrod and his wife Shirley received additional compensation for mental anguish. A former historic plantation near Albany has been recently purchased by New Communities, with a former staff person now managing the rebirth of the CLT organization today. Vinelanders CLT stewardship. We do monitoring, insurance occupancy, maintenance, etc., resale administration, receive notification when taxes are due, calculate resale price, identify member buyer from waitlist, manage transfers, issue new lease, and conflict resolution when necessary. Vinelanders CLT dual ownership. The CLT separates ownership of land from home. The land trust retains ownership of the land. The home buyer buys and owns the home, and the land trust leases land to the homeowner. The CLT versus deed restriction. Deed restrictions can preserve affordability for a fixed period of time, about 50 years, relies on the title company to enforce restrictions, frequently relies on sellers to find the buyers, monitoring and administration generally staffed by the local government, and no dedicated revenue for the administration. But with the land trust, can preserve affordability for an indefinite period of time. The land ownership ensures enforcement. The CLT generally finds eligible buyers. In specialized stewardship entity, the CLT is responsible for monitoring and administration, and the ground lease fees support the administration cost. The resale restrictions and shared appreciation. The goal of permanent affordability. The method, limited equity provision. The reasoning, all agree that homes wouldn't be affordable without the CLT structure, and the community would not be able to purchase a home the traditional way. The members agree in exchange for the opportunity to pass it on to their family. What is workforce housing? As one observer put it, housing is where the jobs go home to sleep at night. Workforce housing is housing for occupations needed in every community, including teachers, nurses, police officers, firefighters, and many other crucial workers. In many communities, there is a mismatch between where these jobs are located and where affordable homes are located, a difficult situation for both working households and employers. Many working families must choose between paying exorbitant housing costs to live close to their jobs or enduring lengthy commutes from areas with more affordable housing. In areas with particularly high housing costs, employers may have difficulty retaining employees because of the workers do not make enough to afford nearby homes and tired of long commutes. Workforce housing also is an issue of equity. People who provide the bulk of essential services in their communities, teachers, police officers, firefighters, hospital workers, laundry and restaurant workers, often cannot afford to live in the communities they serve. The lack of affordable workforce housing is felt beyond working families. However, high housing costs force families to move further and further from their place of work to afford housing. Cities become even more sprawling, leading to increase in traffic congestion, air pollution, and road maintenance costs that negatively affect the quality of life for all residents in the community. What is third sector housing? Housing is a crucial component to a community's attempt to make itself a good place to live. A basic question is access to affordability of housing, especially for the first-time homeowners and people of limited income. A community land trust is one mechanism to address this issue. Third sector. Third sector housing consists of tenure arrangements that represents a clear alternative to the more familiar models of both the market and the state, a non-market alternative to the for-profit rentals, and a market-price home ownership of the private sector, a private alternative to the publicly owned projects of metropolitan housing authorities or the military. These tenure models are part and parcel of the social economy in that they do not exist for the purpose of private accumulation, nor do they exist in the confines of previously tried and heretofore abandoned government-oriented solutions to the quandary of affordable housing. Third sector housing programs are generally connected to a community-based organization located in a specific neighborhood. The third sector approach has expanded considerably since its introduction in the 1970s. By 1990, it was estimated that about 2,000 different community-based organizations were in operations, producing between 29,000 and 45,000 newly constructed or newly rehabilitated housing units every year. These programs are not in terms of solving a housing crisis. Indeed, many homeless cannot afford housing of any sort, at least in the short term, and therefore the need for emergency shelter funding still exists in prominent fashion. Nonetheless, third sector models help break the price increase cycle imposed by the commodification of shelter by housing markets, thereby introducing new rungs into the local tenure ladder, new forms of limited equity housing that allow people of modest means to climb out of housing situations that are presently precarious and towards those that are more secure. How does these third sector models work? Typically, third sector housing programs contain three defined characteristics. The units are privately owned. The context of the ownership is mitigated by social orientation rooted in the community control. that precludes private accumulation of wealth, and the units are price restricted. That is, the price are established by a predetermined formula and are not subject, therefore, to the mere dictates of the market. Third sector or social housing programs exist along a continuum. These include deed-restricted, owner-occupied dwellings, community land trusts, limited equity condominiums and cooperatives, mutual housing association, and multiple forms of nonprofit rental housing. The community land trust is a form of limited equity housing that is designed with the specific goal of commodifying the housing resource. This process of decommodification is accomplished by removing the land on which the property is situated from the speculative real estate market. What is self-build? Self-build is the practice of creating an individual home for you through a variety of different methods. The self-build term is specifically used in the United Kingdom and Ireland when an individual obtains a buildable lot and then builds their own home on that lot. The self-builder's input into the process varies from undertaking the actual building work to contracting out all the work to an architect or building package company. People build individual homes for all sorts of reasons, but mainly because they want to create something tailored to their family's unique requirements, or something architecturally appealing in all manners of style, or because they want to live in a home that they might not be able to afford on the open market. Every year in the United Kingdom, rather than buy a standard developer-built house, around 13,000 people choose to build their own homes from scratch. Vinelanders self-build is about a group of people in need of affordable home ownership and building their own houses. Who is Walter Siegel? Walter Siegel was an architect who is well known for designing a self-built housing system based on a timber frame construction designed initially as a temporary and cheap housing solution for his family. Siegel soon realized its durability and potential as a system that could be employed by others wanting to build their own houses. The modular system is notable for its flexibility and for its openness to user interpretation, both in the building process itself and in its future use. It empowers the user builder to take control of their environment and can be seen as a critique of the homogeneous mass housing of the time that lack any capacity for participation or personalization. Why is self-build important? The ability to choose your location in the community, the ability to design a home to meet your lifestyle and or possibly expanding family's requirements, the ability to get more bang for your buck, possibly the major reason currently where the credit crunch has encouraged large volume developers to sell off their land banks at considerable discount, effectively play right into the hands of self-builders. The ability to design a home utilizing green technology and innovative approach products such as gray water system, insulated concrete forms, geothermal, and solar panels, and the ability to live in a more eco-friendly or sustainable property than otherwise available. And the overwhelming sense of achievement that gained from seeing such a venture from inception through design to completion. Self-build is good for the environment. Co-housing, artist collectives, sharing childcare and homeschooling, elderly people and their caregiver living together, sexual orientation, cultural or ethnic group common interest groups, permacultural land settlement. The list goes on and on. Vinelanders members are self-builders. Vinelanders self-builders, on the other hand, have every incentive to design their house in a way that maximizes their long-term usability, convenience, and cost effectiveness. A self-built house are optimized to match the needs of their future users, Where land prices permit, self-builders typically aim for far more pleasant ratios between build room area and lot area than speculative builders. Self-build control the cost by buying good quality items suited to their specification and not the builders. Does this concept exist in the world? Yes, it does. Self-build in Bristol, UK. It's called Bright Green Futures. You can visit them at www.brightgreenfutures.co.uk, and there's a link on our website. What is a community self-build group? A community self-build is about a group of people in need of affordable homes, and by building their own homes, they can gain a lot of construction experience. As the concept of community self-build homes become more widely known, it is more likely that projects will be initiated by potential self-builders rather than developers and other program designers. How is the self-build group supported? They are supported with recurring gift or monthly giving programs. Nonprofits that have recurring gift or monthly giving programs: UNICEF USA, $20 a month; Shriners Hospital for Children, $19 a month; the Humane Society, $19 a month; Ronald McDonald House from $10 a month to $50 a month; Wounded Warrior Project, $19 a month; and Vinelanders, $20 a month. And now there's Vinelanders. Vinelanders is changing how homes are delivered to people with limited income by implementing the self-build philosophy so that the homes are made affordable. The Vinelanders CLT is a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, and its membership base with monthly dues of $20 a month. The self-build dues support our mission of self-financing the home building process, from purchasing of land for the self-build group, house plans, demolition, labor, storage, and building materials. This concept is known as a hybrid organization, self-supporting. Monthly giving programs or recurring gift is used to support other nonprofits' mission. What are hybrid organizations? Hybrid organizations are, by nature, hard to define. By incorporating elements from multiple economic sectors into their business models and everyday operations, hybrid often exhibit qualities of both nonprofit and for-profit enterprises. But at the core of any hybrid organization lies a commitment to making positive social or environmental impacts, rather in response to a lack of traditional source of philanthropic funding or simply in response to growing demand from a more socially conscious consumer market. These organizations are proliferating rapidly and are poised to assume a much larger role in the corporate world. Vinelanders' ongoing internal fundraising, gift cards from Lowe's or Home Depot, grants, donations, in-kind donations, private donations, foundations, external donations. Internal fundraising will ensure that the organizational goals continue to be met. Where do the self-build funds go? Support internal operation expenses, lot purchases, blueprint and CAD purchases, the house building company and its labor, storage expenses for construction material, in-house education workshops such as green technology and sustainability. Fannie Mae responds: the CLT form of home ownership represents the only true affordable housing preservation strategy for single-family for sale housing. CLTs control housing costs by permanently limiting land costs and locking in subsidies to benefit one homeowner after another, eliminating the need to secure additional subsidies upon each resale. Vinelanders combine two entities, the first self-built community land trust in the nation. The community land trust protect land for the benefit of the community and the residents of the community. In the self-built philosophy, by working together as a self-built group, the mission of affordable home ownership can be accomplished. Vinelanders need 100% membership participation for its self-built members. Vinelanders Community Land Trust wants to ensure that other funders that our members are invested in their support of the Community Land Trust. We promote an environment of self-sufficiency instead of an environment of entitlement assistance. That's why ongoing participation is required. Vinelanders' goal for 2016-2020, that will be discussed at the meeting. Vinelanders' targeted district will be discussed at the meeting. Vinelanders recognize that this program will provide the opportunity for all of the residents, including the urban core, to have an opportunity to become homeowners and become vested members of the community at large. The resale formula. The Community Land Trust resale formula is designed to strike a balance between providing a fair return on investment to individual homeowners while limiting resale price to a level that will ensure continued affordability to future income qualified homebuyers. The goal is to develop a growing stock of permanently affordable homes as a means of building long-term community and individual assets. Homeowners have the opportunity to earn wealth while paying forward some of the help they receive when buying their home. Using the appraisal-based method, the resale price is established as the lessor of a homeowner's percentage of ownership interest or the base price, what the homeowners originally paid, plus 25% of the increase in market value at the time of the resale. Following is an example. Example of the resale formula, you can visit them at Yellow Springs Home Incorporated, www.ysHome.weebly.com. Vinelanders resale formula. This is third sector housing. Non-profit means no profit. You do the math. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, a bank market rate home versus Vinelanders home. $100,000 loan, $5,000 down, 4.50% interest rate, a 30-year, 360 months, $481 a month times 360 equals $173,160. That's $73,160 more. Wow. Versus Vinelanders, $100,000 house, 0 down, 0 interest rate, 30 years, 360 months, 280 times 360 is $100,800. $800 more. Yes. Who would you prefer? The bank market rate home or Vinelanders home? Vinelanders leasehold interest, the right to use and occupancy of real property by the existence of a lease agreement. The agreement includes a stipulated period of time and renewal terms option, costs associated with the lease, resale restrictions, and other terms. Benefits: owner, leaseholder, ability to use and improve the property, right to sell, will to survivors. How do you become a self-bill member? How does a person become a member? This will be discussed at the meeting. Thank you.